well, then this might be a good time to think about this power of self-acceptance and this extraordinary ability we have in our mind and in our heart to deal with things that life has dealt to us. And so let's talk about that a little bit, because I know it's hard to hear this, but I also think this might be your next breakthrough. When I work with a lot of executives or a lot of high-flying people who are just extraordinarily capable and confident, but they're always stressed, they're always upset. Acceptance is one of their ways out. When people, are trying to become more mindful and thoughtful and present in the world, try that without more self-acceptance. You just sit there and get upset, right? So there's a couple of tools, a couple of simple things to think about. Number one is just defining self-acceptance for you as a power. It's time to develop that. It's a weaponry in life. When you can accept things, you're stronger than others. Like if somebody's sitting there and they're screaming at you and being mean and being rude, when you take it personally and you're not accepting the reality of the situation and all you want to do is fight and argue, that's where people get in relationships where they're fighting over and over and over and over again because they can't accept that maybe that person, that's their reality. Sometimes you have to accept other people's position in life without trying to change them as much as you have to accept yourself without trying to change yourself, as much as you have to accept the past without having to try to change the past. So let's talk maybe a little about how you could do that. What's the process for that? The first thing is defining self-acceptance for you not as approval, right? Of course you don't approve the person screaming at you. Of course you don't approve the bad situation that happened in the past or the bad medical report. Of course you don't accept the fact that sometimes life isn't what you want. So stop thinking it's about approval. Acceptance isn't about approval. Acceptance is about peace. It's learning to be at peace with what is, even if you don't like it, and especially if you can't change it. I'll give you an example. Some of you all know I lost my father in 2009 to acute myeloid leukemia. When he got that diagnosis, it really tore through our family because, my dad and we were just all so close and we loved him so much. And it was a diagnosis that he was going to pass away very soon. From his diagnosis to his death was only 59 and some days. And so it was hard to accept that that was what was going to happen, that we were going to lose someone we loved, because especially he hadn't been sick. All of a sudden, he just got sick, and they found, well, leukemia is taking your body out of nowhere, and then he was gone. And we had to accept that that was part of the process. It doesn't mean that he didn't fight, and we didn't try to find everything we could do for him. In that amount of time, he did. He fought the good fight. He went through 3 different treatments of chemo. He tried everything. And he's, had been a 21-year Marine. He'd been through it all. He'd been through Vietnam in 3 different tours. He'd been shot up. He was a strong guy, and he fought. But he also was almost like that peaceful warrior. You know what I mean? He was at peace either way. He was going to do his best, but he was going to accept the outcome that God or the universe placed in his path at that time of his life. And it gave me strength, trying to be the son to cope with the situation, trying to be there to see someone going through struggle. And as much as they're struggling and fighting it or honoring it, to see them accept the path, right? To accept your hardships, to go, okay, this is the path that I have right now. God, universe, whatever, it put it in front of me. I'm going to do my darndest. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be present. I'm going to engage it. I'm not going to run. I'm not going to avoid it, but I'm also not going to hate it. I'm not going to add negative fuel to a negative situation. Instead, I'm going to peacefully and persistently give my best to deal with this at my best right now. I'm not going to hate the process, be mad at the process. I accept that this is the challenge the universe has given me right now. Let me see what I can do. And that's a much more positive mindset than avoiding it, because, avoidance is a great short-term strategy to avoid pain and discomfort, but avoidance is also a long-term strategy to guarantee suffering, right? To avoid dealing with what we have to in life. That's the opposite of acceptance. It's about engage with it. Do your best. Don't hate the process. That's acceptance too, right? I think another way to look at acceptance is through the lens of trust. Trust that you are capable. Trust that things will get better. Trust that this too shall pass. Trust that whatever is here not only has been put here, but it is something that you can deal with. If you survive it, then there was a reason. You learned something. You developed something. You will get better over time, even if right now it sucks, even if it's been painful, even if you're sad about it. Many of you know I also had a brain injury in 2011 that was incredibly difficult. It left a 2-year just swath of pain in my life. It was very difficult time when I was trying to overcome a brain injury, trying to get back in the game, trying to build my business and my career, trying to write books, do all these things you see me do. It was bad timing too. Right? I mean, it was just all around bad. But all I could do is go, okay, I will repair myself. It might take long, but I'll repair myself. I trust that if I focus, if I stay persistent, if I keep trying, I know that it will get better over a period of time. Even if it didn't change physically, I was going to free my mind by accepting that this was where I was at. Still working, but accepting. I hope that helps. And sometimes maybe the easiest way to think about self-acceptance is to think, what would you tell your friend? If you find yourself fighting something in your life, if you had a friend who was going through that exact same situation, what would you tell him? You'd probably say, hey, do your best. Hey, trust. Hey, have faith. Hey, believe. Wouldn't you say something like that? If they kept fighting against it over and over and over, you'd want them to have some peace about it. And you try to comfort them. So what about giving yourself some peace? What about comforting yourself? What about accepting the fact that, you've probably been doing your best? What about accepting the fact that when you screwed up, you hurt somebody's feeling, you're in a better place now. You're older, more mature, more capable now. So maybe another way to think about acceptance isn't just trust, but also forgiveness. Maybe it's time to forgive that time you did that dumb thing. Maybe it's time to forgive that time you just hated yourself for doing something. Maybe it's time to let go.